But you see how much the Tapas are taking from victims.
My thing is, problem with I think all the stakeholders get that, and I think we get that. The 3% for the oil producing community is too low.
So the support that is needed. And once you get the support, your airline people will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Good morning. Welcome to the last edition of the week of Inside Nigeria, and it's reaching you on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Okwebo, and it's my pleasure to be with you on today's program, the last program for the week. And with me in the studio is a public affairs analyst, although for quite some time now I've not seen him. Samana Musa, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
Thank you so much. Well, viewers, as usual, we have 4 papers for review on our menu, and of course, we always have leadership and staple, Nigeria's most influential and the sister publication, National Economy, Daily Sun newspaper, and New Telegraph. Usually, we're starting off with our staple, leadership. Leadership newspaper: for abandoning zoning principle, Southeast to dump PDP after 23 years of party loyalty. For abandoning zoning principle, Southeast to dump PDP after 23 years of party loyalty. The story is on page 4 of the paper, and on the rider are potpourri of stories. South leaders kick, say party has dug its grave. Atiku, Wike, Anyim, Obi, Emmanuel intensify consultations. I will be a bridge between North and South, Saraki declares. All this on Leadership Friday, this May 13th, 2022. Also similar to Leadership's leading and headline story this morning is a story on Daily Sun. No, it's a story on New Telegraph. Let's go to New Telegraph. New Telegraph says 2023 Southern PDP presidential aspirants jostle for VP slot. 2023 Southern PDP presidential aspirants jostle for VP slot. As odds favor North, NWC positions must revert to South if not wins ticket. Body George. Pandef North Party for jettisoning zoning. Stories on page 2 and 4 of the paper. Smela, we have almost similar story on leadership and New Telegraph this Friday. It's all about PDP zoning arrangement. Remember they met yesterday to deliberate on that. So what do you have to take about it? This artist is saying if you don't zone it to us, as you have said, there's no zoning, we are abandoning the party. So what are PDP chances now in this forthcoming 2023 election?
The PDP is actually at a major crossroad in its history. The fact is that they've actually this issue has been on since maybe like almost 2 years now, because the body language has been tilting towards, look, if we really want to wriggle power out of the ruling party, we have to take it to the north, or worst case scenario, make it open. And both sides of the divide have always been doing some form of advocacy or the other. But the reality is actually stacking them now in the face, and it says that before, I said they did in another forum, that before this chairman emerges, some blocks within the PDP actually had an unwritten pact with him to say, well, look, what happens in a situation where we have a northern candidate as our presidential candidate? He said, well, I will resign. And you understand? So that means it's still open. from that time, I know it's still going to be open. The party will not box itself, except if whatever decision or whatever timetable the PDP is having, the APC has an earlier date to that of the PDP. So they might now be watching the APC to say, well, if APC does this, then we do this, or we try to do the same thing or something. But the APC also made sure that it doesn't roll out anything until they see that of the PDP. And when this chairman came in, the body language also says that, or in fact, as a matter of fact, he also uttered it somewhere to say the APC has not zoned it anywhere. Because, I mean, there's that general belief that the APC had zoned it. So he said, no, the APC,
said no.
Because they noticed that some of this permutations is not actually favoring the party, because so many people are feeling, well, if it has to be to the south, we will rather just go back to the north. You understand? So, and that's why they started coming out to make this kind of pronouncement. But you see, the bottom line is that if both parties are now open to, I mean, their disposition is that the ticket is open. I feel it's too early for any maybe political group within those regions to start making some pronouncement, because I feel it's just a way of overheating the polity. If you are not able to tell your the party members, I mean, the people who are contesting election, who are from your region, to pull out, they're still in the race. If you are not able to tell them to pull out and they have not pulled out of the race, whatever thing you are doing, you're also now working against the interest of those people. There are people from the southeast who are contesting. Pandef also issued a statement. There are people from the south who are contesting. What you are doing furthermore is to block their chances of ever even nearing winning that primary election. Because what you are saying is that, so the rest of your citizens or the delegates who will eventually participate in that primary election should abandon that. You understand that as far as you are concerned, you are no longer a member of that party. Nobody is going to vote for that party. So they should move to the other party. That's what you're saying indefinitely. And that does not augur well. A lot of them have done so much consultations. I'm aware so many people who are contested from the southeast and from south have toured the whole of the 36 states, including Abuja, spent so much money meeting delegates, and then just a few days to the time, you're telling them, or you're telling the people who are supposedly the voters, that your region is out of that party. It doesn't really augur well, because whatever you're doing, you should also think about the interest of the people you're trying to protect. I mean, because they also belong to your region. And if at all is zoned to that your region, it's still among these people that will be president will come out from. You understand? And you see, for me, politics, like we keep saying, is about negotiations. Somebody can come from the southeast and be able to negotiate with, the stakeholders within the northern region or the southwest or wherever it is, and be able to, and they will agree at the end of the day and say, well, it's only the presidency that you are having. The rest of the places will occupy. It's about trade-ins and all of that. So it's too early as far as I'm concerned for anybody to actually make this kind of pronouncement. Even allow the primary election to even happen first and foremost, to see that, okay, our own kinsmen are not making any headway within that party. So since the ticket, the primary election, the person who won is from the north, now we can actually zero in to say, well, at this stage, we're no longer doing this party. But when you do that at this kind of time, you are shooting yourselves in the leg as far as
perhaps maybe they are raising alarm over what they see is
you can raise alarm, but when you say, you see, what we'll try to avoid is issuing threats. Politics is about what it is. Negotiations, that's the game, permutations. But when you go issuing threats, you can even leave the threats to maybe after the primaries to say, well, both the South, both the APC and the PDP brought out their candidate from the South, from the North. Or the PDP gave it to somebody from the North, and the APC is giving it to somebody from the South. As far as we are concerned, our interest is about our region, which is the South. So if we have a Southerner who is contesting, who has its APC ticket, we will tell the rest of our people, don't vote for PDP because the ticket is now
going to,
you understand, to APC that give it to our own son. You get, so that makes more sense.
It's what, eventually that's what's going to play out at the end of the day.
Well, it depends on what APC is doing. But you see, there's another micro zoning issues that is coming up that I expect the South to also, or I mean the Southeast to be able to address. You see, you're going to a war front. Your own house is actually not in place. You know, it's not intact in the sense that the North has its own issues to deal with. You know, the South should also be dealing with its own issues at this particular time. If you want to come out as South, let it be with one voice as Southerners, such that the North is also coming into, out into that same place as Northerners. But if you have close to 10 people from the Southwest who are contesting, you also have another number from the South who are contesting. So you are now abandoning those ones and then focusing on the North. Because there's no guarantee that even within the South, if they leave you to hold this election within the South, that the Southeast is going to win the primary election. Let's even assume we say we want to just do it zone by zone. Let the South do its own, let the North. There is the chances that the Southeast is going to emerge the candidate is very, very slim with what is on ground now. You get, so really they should be able to even address that first. You know, it's a different thing when you have, okay, the South has agreed that is the Southeast that will produce the president. By then, everybody's coming out with one voice. The North will also be forced to start considering that. But when only you from the South, just one zone from the South is saying it must be them, and some other people, their neighbors, South and
Southwest.
You're still insisting it's still. So really, you have a bigger problem to really deal with. You know.
They do. All right, we'll also move over to, in New Telegraph, we see other stories on its cover. 2023 presidency, Clark orders betray Southeast, says Kalu. That is Xenos boss, AK to acquire Jumia. DSS will never push for tenure elongation. Those are the stories that are also on the cover of New Telegraph this Friday. From New Telegraph, we move over to the next paper we have on our menu, and that is Daily Sun. Still on 2023. That is the story on Daily Sun this Friday. 2023 federal government insists Malami Ngige Emefiele Amechi must resign. 2023 federal government insists Malami Ngige Emefiele Amechi must resign. CBN governors meet Buhari, his mom on next move. Political appointees sue APC INEC over disqualification threats.
Well, I think
many of us were taken aback on Wednesday when President Muhammadu Buhari, while receiving the resignation letter of Minister of State for Education, said other aspirants or other political appointees who are not seeing presidential ambition should also do the same and resign. So
you see, my first where I was first disappointed is that the president does not need to wait for one minister to resign before he tells the rest of them. What it simply shows is that the president does not know what is right. These are your appointees. Ordinarily, you're the one who appointed them into that office, and they are contesting. It wasn't an elective position. They are contesting, and you cannot actually rein them in to say, well, you have come to me that you are contesting and I've blessed your ambition. The next thing for you is to resign so that you can focus on that ambition, and then the running of state affairs will actually not be lacking. But he had to wait for this Minister of State for Education to actually raise his hand, and after giving an excuse, giving the floor to speak, to thank the president, to thank members of the Executive Council that he's thanking them for the opportunity of serving in this capacity, and so on and so forth. And then he wants to use this medium to actually inform them that he wants to resign to go and focus. And then after that speech was when the president now asks So what about the other people who are also contesting? Why do you have to wait for them? I mean, till one of them. So if the Minister of Education did not actually resign that day, we'd probably still be where we are. You've been reading in the papers, you've been hearing the news where people have been actually speaking against it, that how come these people are going to pick forms and none of them has resigned, and you never said anything about it until it's becoming almost an embarrassment.
If I may chip in, many people are of the opinion that we're better late than never anyway, because obviously maybe the president may have seen that it's not just one of his political appointees, not two, not three, but a lot are going to it. And we even see a situation whereby some of the political appointees are even going to court to enforce, so to speak, their human rights.
You see, look,
talking about a CBN government.
If we have an active president in place, you have the right to hire and fire. This is not private sector. You understand? If I appoint you and you have the ambition to go for number one position, I don't need to start you once I tell you to go and resign.
Samantha, don't forget that the president had actually supported the inclusion of that clause in the Electoral Act, Section 84. 12,
subsection 12, yes.
12.
Yes.
That should be put there that people should be allowed to exercise their fundamental human rights. But the Senate said no. And of course, the case has been in court. So it was kind of a vote phase that the president should come out now to say no.
So what has changed for him to come out now to say no? Look, sometimes you see common sense will just prevail over everything else. Common sense will prevail. You can give the excuse. I mean, you can look at like Osibajo, the VP. He has every right to contest.
Yes.
It's an elective position. You understand? It's just like a governor who is seeking re-election. You can't tell him to resign first before going.
In all developed countries, the vice president has the first refusal.
You get so if a governor is seeking re-election, you can't tell him to go and resign and before he can recontest. No, you understand? But these are political appointments. You cannot be, you see, if we're in a society where common sense prevails, you will know that the CBN governor's position is a very sensitive position. You cannot combine the two. You want to be running up and down, canvassing for votes, delegates, and still maintain the crisis around our financial sector with all the crisis of the dollar and exchange rate issue, with the way the economy, with the inflation and all of that. Morally, you should just know that the right thing for you to do is for you to resign first before you can add another thing to this job. You cannot, the two can't work together. You see, to even run a campaign alone is so time consuming that they hardly have time to sleep. Because you're on private jets running from one state to the other, trying to hold meetings here, consultations there, and then, come on, please, let us learn to do the right things at the right time. So he's waiting now until after primary election. If he doesn't win, then he will continue with that office or what? It's unfortunate that this is happening under a perceived disciplinarian like President Muhammadu Buhari. It's actually unfortunate that we have to even be dragging this. Then somebody has the effrontery to be going to court simply because he sees that the body language of the president is in support of what he's doing, and that is actually wrong. That's the truth. If the president is not in support, he wouldn't even dare to start doing that. They probably just playing a game with the whole thing and know where it's going to end. It's unfortunate.
Since yesterday, Samantha, I've been hearing still reports that Malami, Ngige, Amechi, actually tendered their resignation letter. We don't know how true it is.
Yeah, just like you said, it's just mere speculations. But I know the presidency or the federal government said give them up till. Yeah, I heard that of Akpabio, but he said he gave them up till Monday. So let's see what happens between now and Monday. I know there are so many other revelations that will be coming in. The only options they have, which I think a lot of them who are serious.
Actually, presidents, let me keep you up to speed. I don't know if you know this. Following President Muhammadu Buhari's directive, the SJF actually took it a step further. He wrote a memo to them.
Yeah, I'm aware of that memo.
The president said.
The only option they have, and I know the unserious ones among them will actually toe this line to say that, well, I'm not the one who went to buy the tickets. Some people bought it for me. I am not interested. They can jettison that 100 million and continue with their office. That's the only option. but you cannot dabble into
Like
this one and
Emefiele told
maintain
the
it.
State House correspondent yesterday in his visit to Buhari that yes, they should expect news since that he was just catching from, but we don't know
Well,
the news we are going to
that's.
expect.
I also read somewhere where he said the people who are waiting for his resignation will have a heart attack.
Yes.
So perhaps
It was part of the story.
perhaps this is the option, or the option is, I mean, the option I mentioned now is what he wants to actually
Yes,
go
because
with
he actually has about 2 full years. You know,
for
his
its expiration.
tenure.
Yeah, well,
His appointment is tenure.
it's tenure. Yeah. So
2 terms.
he has the option. Well, he's playing a game. He probably testing the waters. We had it from some accounts that some block or some cabal within the villa were actually, pushing for him to go into the race because they want to consider a Southern person, and the same thing of Sylvia, that they're also considering a Southern person. The same thing with Amechi. So really, you don't know who to believe.
Exactly.
So perhaps maybe the cabal is just also try testing the waters to see which one will fly, because they don't want this, what they are enjoying now, to stop even after a Buhari presidency. They want it to continue. So they want to be there as kingmakers, but perhaps just testing the waters to see what's the perception about the whole thing.
Now, what about Jonathan?
Well, like I said it, I don't know if it was here, I said it the last time, that look, Jonathan should be very careful. The embarrassment of a lifetime is for a former president, to go into a primary election and lose. And he will deal with that for the rest of his life. The most honorable thing for him is just to remain as former president that he is, and not dabble into politics the second time. If he's dabbling in politics, let it be like as a godfather, but not as an aspirant in a party that actually messed him up, messed him out of office. Now also trying to mess him up the second time, because some elements within the APC are actually looking at it that, well, if they fly a Jonathan presidency kite, he has constitutionally only 1 term to spend in office, then they will take over from him, being from the north. You understand? Those are the ones who are pushing. We also had some rumor that still they are the ones who actually pay for that form using proxies and all of that. But whichever it is, I mean, he should let his own number 6 remain intact, in the sense that they just want to use you, and if what they are planning is not succeeding, you are the one that will bear the grunt, the shame eventually. The only thing that I can make me say, well, Jonathan can consider, should consider it, is if APC brought the ticket to him. The winner of the presidential primary election brought it to him on a platter of gold and said, well, we had a consensus arrangement and everybody seems to agree that we should give it to you. The party is at liberty to do that.
But Samuel, have you read about how the presidential ticket, the forms, the nomination is structured? They only have a consensus form for them to sign. Ready.
The same way the party will have.
Ready. The party has put everything in place.
Yes.
So it will be so easy for them at the end of the day to say, well, we have a consensus. See, you've already given us your signed, delivered. Don't you think so?
The consensus can go to anywhere.
Because they cannot go to court to challenge it.
What I'm saying is, the consensus can go to anywhere. What about if Jonathan is drafted into the race and they agree the consensus is somebody else? He will be at the shame.
Yes.
That's the point I'm making.
Yes.
Yeah, but of course, a lot of them know, and some of their, the serious ones, some of their lawyers are also looking into that clause of signing, withdrawal form.
Yes.
They are also looking at the weaknesses of that form. How can they go to court and eventually win? Because they felt it's targeted at them, and they're also, exploring options. But that's not a guarantee that the party will win the election anyway. It's still, they just try to safeguard themselves, because they know they might eventually do so many things that are against the constitution or the constitution of the party or the bylaws, which will make some people to want to go to court. And then they are trying to put this one such that it doesn't split the party in the long run. But let's watch and see. Time will tell how long this kind of thing can actually thrive.
Now, with the high number of aspirants on APC ticket, do you think that maybe they were played against one another? Many people think so.
Well, there are insinuations here and there.
Just like you also implied that maybe Kaba will say, "You go. Why don't you go? Why don't you
Yeah, there are, insinuations here and there, which is actually they are all unfounded yet.
go?"
But the truth is, Nigeria has never had it this large. I mean,
Yes.
everybody now believes he can become president.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, seeing how Buhari went about the ATS, even you and I will believe we can do it. Because, I mean, that's the truth. Because if he's almost absent, he was, I mean, almost an absentee president. So you that you are on ground, you feel you will do better. And so that's why virtually all of them, including the ones who have failed
In their states.
in their states, are now believing that this is so easy. You understand? I remember, and this is not to campaign for him because I mean it's not in the race. President Obasanjo, and we went to a minister's house one morning, and it was about 11 o'clock, and she said they were having a cabinet meeting since yesterday night. It was a vigil. That the only person that did not sit for 5 minutes was the president. That he was only holding the podium. The rest of them, the ministers, were sitting down. And she said, at the point, 3 of them, the women ministers, had to stand up from where they are and went to meet him. That Baba, please,
Sit down.
you have to sit down. This meeting will not continue. Baba, please, you have to sit down. He said, no. That he insisted that he will stand. That Baba was standing till 5:30. The only reason why that meeting came to an end at 5:30 was because the Muslims ones who want to go and observe their prayers. She said, but funny enough, before we came in now, when she woke up, because she got to the house at about after 6, that she just slept for a few, that when she woke up, she turned into AIT on the TV in her room before coming downstairs. And she saw Baba commissioning a project somewhere. You get, if we have presidents who are workaholics like that, so many people will actually feel, well, I won't be able, I don't fit into this.
Yes.
You understand? So, but when you see people who, even as a sitting governor, you have to lobby for almost a month to see him, then it makes everybody feel, no, they can do it. Even when they were at that state level where they even feel,
Where they fail.
it wasn't this easy for them. If somebody is now here at the helm of affairs at the presidency and is finding it this easy, then it seems here it's easier than even governing the state. So really, that's the point.
Yes. Before we leave this issue on this 2023 issue, like we just mentioned, most of these aspirants are governors who have failed in their states. Some have not been able to pay salaries for years or months, and they are yet vying for presidential ticket. So, what is the narrative you need to give out there for this set of people?
Well, you see, ordinarily, an ordinary African is a very ambitious person. Now, talking about Nigerians, and especially Nigerian politicians, they are very ambitious. What they dread the most in their lives
With
is
some
to
of them
get
having
to.
EFCC cases too.
Yeah, I'm coming to that. What they dread most in their lives is a situation where they become irrelevant. So they always want to be relevant. That's why they drove to the Senate. You see them in large numbers. The Senate is more or less a chamber of retired governors. You understand, or expired politicians who feel, well, the only place where they can go and hibernate is going to the Senate, so that they keep. They're always relevant per time. So now that it's becoming cheaper, the presidency of Nigeria is becoming cheaper than anybody ever thought. Instead of now jostling to go to the Senate, why not aim for the presidency? If you understand, especially if it can be zoned to my own region. I stand a chance. You get, because this is how easy it is now to become the president. Now, sometimes some of these cases they have either with EFCC, ICPC, or some of the agencies around the states where they left, is that they know there's always a soft landing. It doesn't matter. The only offense a governor might not be able to wriggle out of is money laundering, because that one, the evidence is physical. You can. All other things you cannot. There's no way you can jail a governor. That's why you see sometimes when EFCC is rushed to go to court, but eventually it's going to be thrown out. There must be witnesses. There must be evidences. The governor will tell you, even if you say, "Oh, this contract should be 1 billion," but they eventually did it for 20 billion. It will tell you that, am I the Ministry of Works who did the bill of quantity? You understand? That you expect me as a governor to go to the market and go and be pricing how much is a bag of nail?
Yes.
You get the Ministry of Works is there. You go and query them. They brought it to me. My own is to approve, and I did that. All I'm after is for work to go on. You understand? So all other things around that, you can do anything. It's not going to see the light of the day. But money laundering is the only one that can actually make you to say, "Oh well, red-handed you are caught, and there's nothing you can do about it." You can be prosecuted. But all other things, they actually can wriggle out of it. The avenues for corruption in Nigeria is so wide that it actually takes God for any of them to actually be brought to book in the long run. And that's why some of them have been in court for more than 6-7 years, and that's how it will continue.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, viewers, that is where we take a break on today's program. When we come back, we'll be reviewing the last paper we have on our menu. Don't go away, stay tuned.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. The program is Inside Nigeria on Leadership Television. With me in the studio has been Samala Musa. Samala Musa is a public affairs analyst, and I still remain Winifred Global. Samala,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, we'll be reviewing the last paper we have on our menu, and that is our sister publication, the National Economy. Let's see what National Economy is saying this Friday. National economy, no end in sight to environmental degradation for 30 million Nigerians. No end in sight to environmental degradation for 30 million Nigerians as IOC's $100 billion divestment process lacks compensation plan. Federal government full drags on comprehensive policy framework on divestment. That is what we have on national economy.
Yeah, honestly, the first time I saw something about the IOCs leaving Nigeria and selling off their assets or their businesses to indigenous companies, I was very sad. I was very sad in the sense that, I mean, we could grow to that stage where, indigenous companies will be running all these things, but not at this time, honestly. It's a very difficult time for us as a country. It's a time that we're also battling with so much insecurity. Bunkering is going on in the Niger Delta. A lot of 90% of the bunkering going on is actually unrecorded or uncovered. And at the same time, the over these companies to indigenous companies, and we know how Nigerians can be a lot of times. There's that respect export rates companies or IOCs will give to the indigenous people of those communities that might not necessarily be so with indigenous companies, in the sense that we all claim, I'm also from here.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you want to tell me? Do you get? So there's that arrogance that will actually work against the indigenous people of especially those oil producing communities, So because what the companies will also be doing is that they will always be making sure that they have people from those areas who are also holding high position in their companies, such that we all be claiming the same rights. You understand? You can't chase me out of this place because I'm also from here. This is part of my investment, my fatherland and stuff like that. All this will actually play out in the long run. But what's also the compensation plan? I mean, you have projects that you have not completed yet as part of your corporate responsibility, social corporate responsibility to those communities where your facilities are or where you're operating from. What compensation plan do you have? What long term to say, okay, before the companies who are coming to take over will stabilize, this is the process of compensations that will be going on for a period of so and so. And then the companies who are actually taking over from these people. Well, I've not heard anything about the companies yet. We don't know who and who is actually bidding to take over or to buy these IOCs. So we don't know their credibility yet, but a lot of things is going to suffer. One thing I can assure you that it's going to be part of what will happen is that there's going to be a retrenchment when they come in.
Oh, yes.
That Nigerians are good at that. They're going to lay off quite a number of people, and with what we already have on ground, really is actually not the best of time for this kind of thing to happen. And fortunately, well, this is already in top gear, so I don't think if there's any stopping them, we'll just keep fingers crossed that, well, we hope it doesn't further compound our problems, especially from where our economy is being run, because the Nigerian economy is oil based. So whatever crisis we're having in the Niger Delta, will affect everybody in Nigeria, because every dime that is footing our bill, I mean, running our economy, is actually coming from that region. So it's a very difficult one.
So much. That's a difficult one. That's a take away word
Yes.
on this program this Friday. As this, well, we call it a day on today's program, Inside Nigeria, which was brought to you on Leadership Television. My guest has been Samala Musa. Musa is a public affairs analyst. So I remain waiting for the day. But until I come your way again next week, Monday, don't forget security is a collective effort. Don't forget, stay safe. Bye. See you.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.